Tuesday! Yay! I know I said today I was going to do a review of the first Dino Charge episode, and I will do that. But, you see, the thing is, I didn't know it was going to be like a two-part opener for the season, so then I was like, I should wait until the opener is complete, so I'm gonna do it next week after I've seen part 2 and I've actually seen the team in action together. Because, I've met 2 Rangers so far, and I can't really do a review with just 2 Rangers out of the team, right? Right. So instead, today, I'm going to tell you about my favorite Power Ranger. Now, I've talked to a lot of Power Rangers, and last time I talked about Tommy, and though I do think he is a great and amazing Ranger, he is not my favorite. My favorite Power Ranger is Antonio from Power Ranger Samurai. He is the Gold Ranger. So Antonio's super, like I said, he's the Gold Ranger on Power Ranger Samurai. His Super Sentai counterpart is Genta Umemori from Samurai Sentai Shinkenger. Antonio is a really great character. He was actually Jaiden's childhood friend, and Antonio became a Power Ranger basically because of his own will and his own strength and smarts, which is part of what I like about him. Very few Power Rangers ever have to earn the right to become a Power Ranger. It's like this thing where you just get chosen, whether it's to be good or to be evil, you're just chosen. And whether there's no reason for you to be chosen, you were just that lucky person, or you have a special set of skills. Very few people have ever had to prove themselves as a ranger, and Antonio is one of them. He built his own morpher. He trained himself. When they were kids, Jaiden kind of taught him a little bit about fighting, which if you can't picture 2 5-year-old boys hitting a plant with little wooden swords, it is the cutest thing in the world, and I swear these 2 were the cutest things when they were kids. And from what Jaiden taught him as a kid, he literally developed his own fighting style. And if you don't think that's great, then I don't know what to tell you, because I think it's fantastic. He did that because he wanted to be a Power Ranger more than anything. He wanted to be a Samurai Ranger and to protect people. And that's part of what I like about him, is because he's just so good as well. I have a weakness for characters who are really fundamentally good. I like to think of them as fundamentally good. They're, in real life, they'd be those people who literally just help everyone. There have been other Rangers like that who I think of as being fundamentally good. And I think of Antonio as being fundamentally good because of the episodes he had with Decker, where he didn't kill Decker, even though he could have. But he didn't do it because he didn't think it would be right, because Decker, despite the fact he was the enemy, was hurt and unarmed. And so Antonio let him live. Twice. And I think that's amazing. Also with the fact that Antonio doesn't hold a grudge against anyone on the team for trying to keep him off the team when he first arrived. He doesn't hold a grudge against Kevin for not liking him at first. And I think that's great, because I think he could have every reason to hold a grudge, but he doesn't. And he's just a really kind person, Bulk and Spike don't have a lot of money, and so Antonio lets them work for him for a day, and he gives them money for every fish that they catch. And he's just a good-natured person, and I think that's great, and I think that characters like that are really important. I feel like his character didn't get enough development and growth, though. It hardly got any. And that makes me really sad, because there's so much that they could have done with him, and that there's so much that they could have done with him and Jaiden, and the relationship that the 2 of them had. I'm not saying they had a romantic relationship. There are some shippers who say they do. I'm not one of them. I love their friendship so much, and I think it's a great thing, and I think that there's so much more that they could have done with it that they didn't do. And it's really sad. I also like Antonio because it's really just the idea that, kind of to me, what he represents is that you can work hard, and you just can't think of what anybody tells you, and you just gotta work hard, and if it's what you want, then you're going to achieve it someday. He wanted to be a samurai, so he went out, he made himself a samurai, he didn't care what anybody thought of him. And he's really confident in who he is, and he's just happy all the time, and he's laughing, and he's making jokes. And it's great. And he's just a great character, and he's a character that I look up to, and he's my hero, because I'm like, I want to be you. I want to be like you. I want to have your confidence. I want to have your ability to just laugh and just make jokes when you're fighting monsters every week, and he's just making jokes, and he's just a great guy. And he achieved his dream, and he's just so great about it. I want to be like him. I want to be him. And I don't care. And if he's the main reason that I love Samurai so much, it's because it has Antonio in it. And there are a lot of people who don't like Samurai, but I love Antonio. Because he is the character who I want to be. And I want more Power Rangers to be like him. Because he is one of those Rangers who, like Tommy, I think really captures the spirit of what it means to be a Power Ranger. Sadly, we have not seen Antonio outside of Samurai. And I wish that I could have seen him interacting. I wish that they could have done a proper crossover with RPM, because seeing him with Gem and Gemma, or basically the Pyromaniac and female male and female versions of Antonio, would have been fabulous beyond my wildest dreams. I also, I don't really have any quotes that Antonio said, because he's said one thing that I think is significant, and then a character said a thing about him. And during the episodes I mentioned, with the whole thing that went down with Decker, the Green Ranger, Mike, says something to Decker. Decker talks about Antonio not being a real samurai, which is part of the problem for Antonio, but people don't think he's a real samurai, because he wasn't born to be one. It's because he wasn't born into the families. And Mike's reaction to this is towards the end of the series, Mike's reaction to this, to Decker, is, you're wrong. Antonio is a real samurai. And it's amazing that he's sticking up for him, and I think it's great when he says that Antonio is a real warrior, basically because of what's in his heart, and because he's courageous and he's honorable. And I think it's great because he truly is, and he deserves to be recognized for that, because his character did a lot of comedy relief, which was great, but they didn't really address this more serious side of Antonio's character, which I wish they would have done more. But that was one moment when they did. And the best thing I think Antonio has ever said was in The Blue and the Gold, when he was talking to Kevin, who didn't like him at the time, and he tells him, being a samurai is about more than just ancient tradition. It's about being a warrior, a protector of all things good. If someone's in trouble, doesn't a samurai try to help them, no matter what? And I think that's just the thing that defines his character, that moment that you know who he is, and you know he's just there to help people, because he wants to be a protector. And that's all he wants to do. So that's Antonio, my favorite Power Ranger, and that's why I love him. And he's great, and I miss him a lot. I wish I could see him in more seasons, but he's special to Samurai, I guess. Hopefully next week I'll have some great information to give you about Dino Charge, and hopefully give a prediction about how the season will go. Until then, may the power protect you all.